and invite others to join. Thank you all for joining one more time. Grace and peace. We're giving a couple of minutes for our brothers and sisters to join us while we go in. Thank you for joining, Reverend Franklin. It's so good to see you, Reverend Franklin, one of the amazing authors of the book. Thank you for joining. Please kindly share the link and invite other people to be a blessing today. I'm so excited to be here with one of our very own amazing author, Dr. Share Sands. And very soon you are going to be hearing from Dr. Sands. We're just taking a minute. We don't want to leave anyone behind. Thank you for joining Nana Day. Yeah, please share the link and invite somebody to be on board. We just want to take a minute and make sure everybody join. We don't want to leave anyone behind today. Thank you all so much for joining. Invite somebody, let them know we are on. Please tag somebody. Let me know if you are on. Comment where you are joining from. Comment the country you are joining from. Comment the country you are joining from. Let us know you are on. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you all for joining us for this amazing Leaders to Leaders discussion. Watch this. I believe you are going to be blessed. Thank you all for joining. I'm so excited to see all of you in the room. Thank you all for joining today. Yeah, we're going to start in the next 2 minutes. Thank you for joining, Reverend Franklin. It's so good to see you one more time. Thank you, Nana, Day. Thank you all. Please share the link. Invite somebody. Let them know we are on now. Invite somebody to be a blessing on today. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we're going to start very soon. Going to start very, very soon. Thank you all who just joined. So good to see all of you. Yeah, we're going to go in very soon. And we're going to start our discussion for today on conflict management, conflict and crisis resolution in leadership. So I believe that is going to be a great blessing for you. I believe that is going to be a great blessing for you with one of our amazing author here today. So stay in whilst we go. Stay in whilst we go. All right. So thank you all. So here we go. Here we go. All right. Thank you all one more time for joining us for today. My name is Eric, and I'm so excited to have all of you on today for our Leaders to Leaders session. For our Leaders to Leaders session on crisis and conflict resolution in leadership. One of the amazing things I realized was that in the book, Dr. let us know that conflict is as old as humanity. As a human, I began to think about it. That means we cannot really do away with it, but how we can mitigate it and how we can deal with it and how we can resolve it when it comes. So somebody will be asking, what is this about? What is this discussion about? So I want to let you know this. So what if you had opportunity, just begin to think about this. What if you had opportunity to sit in a room full of leaders from different backgrounds, from the background of medicine, science, pastoral background, engineering background, academical background, educators from all walk of life, and you are given the opportunity to ask them a question about what inspired their leadership journey, about what they wish they knew earlier, about what they're going to tell their old self if they went back, and you had the opportunity to ask them these questions. So this whole Leaders to Leaders is about authors coming together across the globe, across the continent, from Africa, from America, across the continent to deal with the topic of leadership with interesting topics. Like some of the topics that was treated was Leadership 360, which is very important, and it's very amazing about how you can lead you versus leading others. And then the authors also talking about the qualities of leadership, something like character versus charisma. And then they also look at leadership succession, which when we look at the leadership landscape today, there's a great decline in leadership legacy and in leadership succession. If you look at the church, if you look at organizations, there's a great decline because after the leader goes, what next? After the leader goes to heaven, what next? What next? So this book is going to help you with that. And we look at visionary leadership, spiritual leadership. We look at the pitfall of leadership, which is very important because you cannot talk about the great things of leadership without looking at the pitfalls. And we look at the types of leadership. The types of leadership is so incredible. So I'm not going to be long on your way. Today, we're just going to have a chit chat. We're going to have a conversation. It's just a conversation with the authors of the Leaders to Leaders Anthology. Today is just a conversation. And I'm so blessed to have one of the incredible authors who wrote on conflict and crisis. She wrote on conflict and crisis management in leadership. So I'm going to play her bio real quick, who is in the person of Dr. Shore Sands, all the way from Florida in the United States of America. I'm going to play her bio real quick while we listen to her.
Sands is the founder of Alpha Health Outreach Global, a visionary leader dedicated to advancing community health and holistic well-being. With many years of impactful service across the tri-county areas of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, she has successfully directed numerous community outreach initiatives focused on improving health outcomes and empowering underserved populations. A respected leader in the healthcare and community space, Dr. Sands has partnered with esteemed organizations including the Broward County Health Department, the American Cancer Society, equipping her with both the academic excellence and practical experience. Dr. Soretti.
All right, so thank you all so much for joining us one more time. We are so blessed to have all of you on today for this incredible discussion on leaders to leaders. Why not leaders over leaders? Why not leaders for leaders? Why not leaders versus leaders? That means we are not against you, and we are so blessed to have you as a leader along with you. For over the years, I've been championing this cause of biblical leadership. And when we look at biblical leadership and biblical discipleship, it's always talk about one over one leadership. It's not one over one. It's always one on one. When we look at the scope of biblical leadership, it's always one-on-one. So over the years, I've been championing that when we look at leadership generally, it's one-on-one. It's not one over one. And then we look at the greatest leader in scripture, the person Jesus Christ. We saw his leadership style. It was one-on-one with his disciples, one-on-one, pouring into them, imparting them. But today we look at leadership style and it's one over one. You hardly see your leader in the organization. After work, they vanish. After church, they vanish into their car, and you don't get a time to sit one-on-one with them. So this book is going to give you that one-on-one feel, like sitting on the same level with your leaders, sitting in the same level and asking the hard questions of leadership. And this is one of the anthology that is really going to change your leadership journey to the next level. And with the book, it's not about competition. It's about transparency. Leaders share the hard-won wisdom that equip them in their leadership journey, some mistakes they did and all that, and it's going to help you. And and one of the best leadership style that some of them shared was that of Jesus, and it is biblically driven. This book is more biblical. We use scripture references and everything. Thank you so much for joining, Apostle Stephen Halliburton. It's so good to see you, and thank you for joining, Apostle Jonelle. So good to see you on today. Yeah, so we're going to go in. Thank you all for joining our discussion today on leaders to leaders. Leaders to leaders. We're just talking about leadership and the leadership style. And today we have the amazing author, Dr. Shore Sands, who is one of the authors who wrote on crisis management and that of conflict management. So what does leadership mean to you, Doctor? I've followed you for years, and I've seen greater work you have done in Florida. And also I've seen your leadership in the area of healthcare, and also I work along with you, and I saw your great leadership in the area of healthcare, community outreach, and also when we look at kingdom leadership, versus healthcare. What does leadership really mean to you? How will you summarize leadership to someone on today?
Well, first of all, I'm grateful and thankful to be on this platform today. Thank you, Pastor Eric Narty. And I was just thinking about this wonderful anthology work, Leaders to Leaders, and anthology and a compilation of from different aspects. And one thing I do want to say out the gate, and again, I'm grateful to be here today and bring everyone greetings, is that often as leaders, there may or may not, many times there may not be anyone to collaborate with or to try to glean from another different types of leadership styles, leadership by example. And I'm glad that you said that the purpose of this book would be to really, not leaders over leaders, but it's more so, leaders helping enrich or enhance what their leadership skills are about. So you did ask me to summarize or make a statement of what I would say about leadership today, but I mean, there's just so many things that can be said. One of the things is when you say, 360 leadership and being experienced in marketplace and healthcare and ministry and outreach and just from the grassroots. I know one of the things that I would like to, that I could possibly want to enrich or enlighten others with is that, you do have to get your hands dirty in leadership. Pretty much there is an adage that, you ought to be able to have experienced various aspects of all areas in the organization. So, you're not just to sit in a room, an office on a computer or whatever that looks like, isolation looks like, but you should be able to get your hands dirty. Something needs fixing. Uh, and since I'm still leaning towards my area that I addressed in the book in crisis management. I have different examples. In the hurricane, in healthcare organizations, we know that it's very critical that people are still being able to be served even in a crisis situations. Let's say a natural disaster or hurricane or something of that nature. People still have to have their medications. They have to be kept on ventilation. They have to be able to still, foster survival. So you have to have something in your back pocket, so to speak, when the lights go out, but people still need to be served and to be helped. So you're equipping yourself before the crisis is more better than waiting to see how you're going to respond in a crisis. So, if you need to know that you need generators in place, or you need supplies, or you need equipment, you need medications, you need to be in touch with IT. You need to have a relationship with your information technology people, because what happens when your computer goes down? You need to be able to see how soon can I get back online. So, out the gate, I would just kind of start by saying, as a leader, you need to kind of prepare yourself before a crisis or before something happens that may be out of your control. And also in an organization, if you learn different aspects of how to, you may not be an information technologist, you may not be a computer expert, but you can learn enough about what needs to function and what you can do to get things back online, or if something plumbing, or if something is breaking or something. I mean, and that's why I said, being able to get your hands dirty, get your nails dirty, or get something, in your hands, because I'll just start with that. I don't know if you want me to kind of like stop there, but there's many examples that can be shared about. But the first statement is just kind of like having a plan in place before the crisis that's going to take place. Okay, Pastor Eric.
Yeah, thank you for that. I love that. So what you are saying, you're talking about being a proactive leader and also leading from the future. we see today that a lot of us, even in the church and um, behind the church wall, sometimes we wait and things happen, and we are now complaining about why did this happen? I didn't know this will happen. But we believe that as a leader, you need to be proactive and you need to lead from the future. As you are saying, you need to plan before the crisis, you see. And also, we know that there are different things that make leaders, and some of the best leaders are made through situations, and some of the best leaders are made through challenges, because some of them rise up because of situations. And when we look at the leadership landscape today, everybody will be so excited that, oh, there's a lot of leaders everywhere. But leadership is growing, but it's growing with wildfire, because leadership is growing louder and character is growing weaker. People are so quick to build their platform, but they are not quick to build their character. People are so quick to build their voice, you see, but they are not quick to build consistency, to build durability, to build commitment, to build integrity. So we see leadership growing all over in different spheres, but it's growing with wildfire. It's growing downwards because of the qualities of leaders, having the right quality, having the right qualities. What do you think is one of the best qualities that 21st century leaders need to possess when you look at the area of biblical leadership and marketplace leadership? Because you've worked with a lot of people and also in and out of the church. What do you think is one of the best qualities that transcends centuries? It transcends borders. It transcends everything, no matter where you are and no matter your level of leadership. What do you think is one of the qualities that is very important and is irrefutable?
Yes. So thank you again. Resilience. Resilience is, I believe, is a key quality, especially like you said, as we're moving forward. And adaptability, resilience, adaptability, and forward thinking. Being able to, I was thinking the other day about not be, in order not to become stagnant, because of course we're in such a fast pace. And I see you recently, like when it comes to AI and a lot of different things, it's not that you're like, if you understand technology or AI or things that are taking place, it's not saying that you're saying you wholeheartedly biblically embrace it or you don't embrace it. But at the same time, you're understanding, you're getting the knowledge with all your knowledge, get understanding, you're getting knowledge and understanding with all your endeavors. So you want to position yourself. Some people, during the pandemic, and there were some terms that you hadn't heard as much as you're hearing those previously. But there's a term that people say, "Well, I had to pivot. I had to pivot." So you have to be ready to make a shift and make a turn depending on what's happening at the time. So if you are resilient, also, so that you can continue to press forward when there's a crisis or when there's something different, something that you may not have experienced before. When it came to the pandemic, so a pivot in the pandemic, for example, for healthcare. So you have and when you're dealing as a leader, and you're dealing with a crisis situation, you're dealing with something that can be potentially devastating to not just your team but others that you serve. You have to be able to hopefully develop skills. If you don't have all the necessary skills, kind of study trends or study things that may have happened. If there was a previous storm before, if there was a previous health crisis before, or there was something else that happened in the past, so that now you're ready and kind of saying, well, okay, what are the tools that we have in place to deal with this currently? So we did not have for example, in the pandemic, we did not have a vaccine ready. We did not really initially know what the genetic makeup of the virus was at that time, the COVID-19 virus. We did not know what would be the things that would protect others. But meanwhile, based on what we need to do while we're trying to figure that out, what can we do to protect people short term? What is it that we do know? How many people are going to be impacted by this? So, and when I say resilience, is that as a leader, when you're in front of the crisis, no one needs you to go MIA. Like, like they talk about uh big cruise ships, or like literally, if you are the cruise captain, if you're the captain of the cruise ship, and you go and nobody can find you, they can't find you on the bridge. I mean, you could be prosecuted. Literally, you cannot, as the leader, as the captain of the ship, you have to be ready to deal with the upcoming, the big wave. Let's say the ship, here comes some waves, some big waves are coming, or I have to try to navigate around this storm, or I have to try to avoid this iceberg that's coming. God forbid, you make the wrong decision. Now you are human. Now we are Christian leaders, so we will rely on our faith, and don't we won't get into God's way. But at the same time, guess what he said? Moses, what's that in your hand? I need you to go to Pharaoh. And he said, I can't talk, I can't speak. And so God is patiently developing a leader. And he said, well, what's that in your hand, Moses? And and I can't speak. And I can, and God just keeps saying, no, you can. Yes, you can, because I'm going to be with you. So a leader kind of has to have kind of like a holy boldness, resiliency, be forward thinking, and be prepare themselves for what's coming ahead that maybe they can't see, and be innovative.
Yeah, I love that. I love that of resilience, which is so great. And I love the examples you cited with the pandemic. When we look at the landscape right now of when we look at the economic landscape, that of job, that of the church and everything, we saw that the pandemic really hit things so hard and it turned things upside down. But there were so many people who were blessed by the pandemic. Not everyone was affected because some took advantage of the problem to find solutions that was tangible. So many people lost their job and so many people got multiple jobs because they were ready. They were ready for digital jobs. They were ready. They were prepared. They had the skills for what the pandemic brought. So that tells us that in leadership, yes, problems are inevitable. Problems will be there. Crisis will be there forever. But it's about how we can navigate it. And the evidence of the problem always gives birth to the solution. One person is looking at the problem, another person is looking at solution. What can I do? So, like the pandemic, we saw that a lot of churches were closed down. So many people lose their faith. So many people lose their jobs. People lose their investment. But people rise up above the pandemic, and they were able to be positioned in a place that were able to take advantage of the pandemic for their favor. So, as people of God, we need to continue to be proactive because we are not in the place of ignorance, and we need to rise up above whatever comes our way. We want to dive into the area of conflict. Do you think conflict can be avoided? And if it cannot be avoided, what are some ways that can help us to navigate conflict? Because when we look at leadership, we see conflict in leadership. What are some ways that we can navigate conflict and crisis? If it can be avoided, how can we avoid it? And if it cannot be avoided, what are some ways that you recommend? Because you wrote this in the book, which was so great.
Okay, so we'll go and thank you very much. So in the book, we look at a couple of different aspects. We did look at the biblical framework for conflict resolution, uh, and we can maybe do a layer of application, because the reference is Matthew 18, verses 15 through 17, where it says, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell them his fault. Go with him, you and him alone. So maybe, first a one-on-one conversation. Then if that's not effective, you can bring a witness in verse 16. But if he will not hear you, then you take thee with one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses, every word shall be established. And then we reference involving leadership. So a further leadership, and in verse 17 says, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican, involving leadership, refuse to listen to them, escalated. So this is kind of talking about probably, maybe interpersonal conflict, and how, maybe you have someone that's working along with you in an assigned position, assigned role. Maybe it's a church role. Maybe there's a brother or sister in Christ, or so there's different applications that you can apply this, even in the workforce, to avoid conflict escalation, because uh, as a Christian, but also as a leader, you have a very much interest for things being in alignment with the vision for the organization. So sometimes conflict arises because people are not on the same page, as they would say, or they haven't had what we call a buy-in, or they're not buying into what is the outcome that we're looking for. Maybe there's a new a new procedure, a new way that we have to do things, and we have to make a shift. But some persons are like really pushing back. So, try to be mindful of how you will handle the conflict, and how, the conflict resolution should be coming about. So it would not be the best thing to just start a gossip train of just talking about it to different people from person to person. What would that, in the end of at the end of the day, what fruit is going to be evolved from that? Just talking about it, especially in a negative way. But you want to step back. I believe conflict resolution will call you to maybe step back for a moment, examine what is happening as far as the conflict. Try to find, I know sometimes discussions are not always easy to have, but try to find a place of agreement. Maybe you can start the conversation with, I know that we agree that we've been doing this procedure this way for several months, but we have now a new innovative way of doing things. What are your ideas on how we can make this successful? I want you to be a part of the growth that we're going to experience. I want you to be a part of what we're going to succeed at. So I think, what is critical in the early stages of the conflict is trying to find points of agreement. If you can find points of agreement, then you can kind of maybe open up the mindset of how we can do this. We're on the same team. And I won't go lengthy into the other example. There's another example in the book of, with bringing in a new pastor, and in terms of church leadership, and everyone is may not be in agreement if a new person comes to the team that has to take the leadership role. So you can try to find ways to mediate, find agreement, places of agreement, places where you can agree, points you can agree upon, and also be open as a leader. It is important as a leader to try to, like I said, not be, just going from top down, where you can't, get down on the level of the person that's working on your team, so that you can find places of agreement. You can make them feel a part of the team. You can hear what their concerns are, and hopefully you both can come to a resolution on how we can agree to move forward.
Yeah, thank you for that. This very practical approach, mostly biblically. One of my best leadership book is the Bible. Like this week, I was just reading it. Everything we need. A lot of times, we look so much for different books because we are not really reading the Bible. But the approach Doctor just gave us is the biblical approach of conflict resolution, which is great, which is solid. If you want to dive deeper into it, grab a copy of the book. It's in Africa, it's in the US. If you're in the US, you can get it on Amazon, on Leaders to Leaders. We got a paperback, we got a Kindle, we got the hardcover. So if you're in Africa, you can get it from Ghana. If you're in Ghana, you can contact me for a copy. And I believe it's going to help you because she gave a lot of approach, and then she gave a lot of practical approach, which she used some organizations. In your book, you spoke about some organizational approach about conflict resolution, which I read. And also you use the church as a case study. You use one of the church as a case study and how they were able to resolve conflict, because it's very important. It's very important because today our culture, we try to sweep things under the carpet and we keep going. But using the right method and then the right resolution will help. So because of that, there's so much division today. There's so much division in the body. There's so much division everywhere because people are not ready. People are not ready to have that conversation. I know it can be tough. I know it can be hard, but with the right approach and with the right tools, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, we can be able to resolve every conflict that will definitely come our way. And also, want to look at this. In the book, you spoke about learning from failure, and I really want to know because failure is hard. Today a lot of things you are mentioning is top notch because you mentioned about shift, which no one wants a shift because shift exposes the unprepared. If a shift happens, those who are not prepared are exposed. And we also spoke about failure. I was reading the book, your portion a little bit this weekend, and that will be the second time I was reading that portion. You spoke about failure, that learning from failure. What are some ways do you think we can learn from failure?
Okay, that's a
Learning
good
from
question.
failure, what do you think there's some ways do you think we can learn from it?
Okay, that's a good question. So there's a term that's called fail forward. So, when you know that if there's a failure, you're going to try to determine what are the things that took place that you can glean from. When I first opened my first business that I had, uh, so what's interesting is something in so we're talking about the term fail forward. So failure, many even great, even very powerful successful leaders that are successful today, being in corporate America or being in the church or leadership, many had failed first, but then they were able to lean and glean from the area that what went wrong or what was not successful, and how they can take that knowledge and information and transfer it over to the next venture or the next organization that they're going to lead. So looking at my my first business, it started just before right around the town. So in September 2001, we had the World Trade Center bombing. So that was pretty much a year into starting a business in the community, and that was geared to help and make an impact and all of that. So there's something in business when you take business or marketing courses, you learn things, or certain business classes or leadership classes. There's something called doing a SWOT analysis. You can apply the SWOT analysis to many aspects of your leadership or even to your life. So SWOT is you strive to determine what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that's SWOT. SWOT. What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? So the SWOT analysis is designed to be forward thinking about to making an intelligent decision as you enter into the business landscape, or you begin to try to lead and build your organization, and have the necessary people in place, uh, material, equipment, location, marketing, communication, promotion. So all the things that you need to try to have in place, putting in your SWOT analysis to find out where your strengths.
What do you think
You can look at your strength as an individual, your strength as an organization. What are your weaknesses? So it's interesting. People don't like to see what weaknesses are. But weaknesses are good to look at as well, even as an individual, as a leader, and as an organization. Or where's your weakest link, so to speak, as they would say. So strength, weaknesses, and then what are opportunities? Opportunities within your organization to build upon what you're doing good or what you could do better, and threats. Okay, so threats are oftentimes, when you're looking at threats, would be sometimes those most likely, or most time, are external things that might occur that haven't occurred. Now, the reason why I gave you the SWOT analysis, so you can understand that as from leadership perspective or from building, because SWOT, and we're still sticking with the idea of, we talked about, this is leading up to the question was about failing forward. So when you put together a SWOT analysis and you begin to operate within that, you've scoped out the land, spread out the land, and try to determine as best you can what success looks like. But oftentimes the threats, sometimes, let's just say sometimes, threats may not be known in advance. You may not know that. Who knew that there was someone's going to come over and blow up or hit the World Trade Towers? Well, hopefully, if they did know, if there was even a prophet or someone that could foresee, we didn't get the information. So if a threat, knowing that a threat can occur, then normally you would try to perceive, maybe the landlord, if you have a church organization, maybe the rent is going to go up too high. A lot of times the threat might be the leadership. Sometimes you don't know. There are churches that, unfortunately, something happened to one of the leaders. It could be something good, it could be something bad, it could be something under natural circumstances. The leader is no longer here. So are you preparing for leadership, a change in leadership, or succession? So that will help strengthen the organization in case there's a shift in leadership, so that the leadership, the organization doesn't go down unfortunately, if the leader goes down. And failing forward, I'll just say this, quickly. Failing forward, if you've done your SWOT analysis, if you come up with your business plan, if you put things in place and you try to do the best you can to succeed, and a threat comes that is because the type of threat that the 911 September 11th, when the World Trade Center bombing, hopefully, I think most of us can remember some of it, or our parents told us about it. September 11th, I lived through it. So September 11th, when that happened, and if it's a church, immediately, and the pandemic was another good example. The churches started closed down. If the business starts closed down, certain things that did not prepare for. If you've done all you could, like the Bible says, you've done all you can to do, stand therefore. And and then you will find success at the end of the tunnel. But if failure comes and you've done everything you knew to do, but maybe there's an external threat that wasn't perceived, and then some business may have to close or may have to not be able to move forward. So in this case, it might be seen as a failure, but remember, it was something that you didn't really have any control of, unforeseen circumstance. But now you can put together everything that you learned from going into that situation, even during those times the landlord was increasing. Sometimes you have a threat by a landlord. Maybe you're in an organization, a Christian organization, or maybe you're in a secular or worldly, or just in business for yourself. It could be a Christian business. It can be a business organization. But if there's failure knocks at the door, circumstances that you did not prepare for, you can begin again. So the failing forward is learning from everything that you experienced during the last crisis or during the last event that happened. Something we call sentinel events. And sentinel events is another term that they use in business. A sentinel is something that occurs that wasn't planned or wasn't prepared for. But how do you manage that sentinel event? What's your backup plan? And if failure comes, failing forward is to learn from what you did and take everything that you learned, and you can carry that over, and you can begin again, and you can start strong for the next opportunity.
Wow, that is so incredible. I'm really learning a lot today through this life. I don't know about you, but if you are so blessed and so inspired, drop your comment and let us know how you are blessed. I generated a quote from what doctor is just saying, and the quote is saying that I know you hate to fail, but even if you fail, fail forward. I know you hate to fail, but even if you fail, fail forward. So these are quotes I just generated from all doctor just said right now about failing forward. A lot of us don't want to talk about failure, but without failure, there's no success. Without problems, there's no solutions. So the right balance is needed. The right balance is needed. And I believe, just as the Bible said, the sons of Issachar, they understood the time and knew what Israel need to do. And if you study, the sons of Issachar didn't just understand theology, they didn't just understand the Jewish calendar, they understand the economy, they understand the political landscape, they understand everything, and they know what to do in every season. In every season. That for me is 360 leadership. And that for me is failing forward. That means anything that happens, you can be able to rise above your failure. So thank you, doctor, for that. That is so incredible. That is so incredible. I know we would not love to exhaust the book, we would not love to finish everything in the book so that you guys can get your copy, because I believe that this book is going to be a blessing to you, because it's a blessing to me myself. It's like a manual to me, and it helps me. Recently, we used it to train some few leaders in Africa, some few leaders who just completed like a high school, and Reverend Franklin is doing a great and a marvelous job. He just called me and we arranged it, and I was able to meet them online. And, we went through the book. We spoke about leadership, we spoke about volunteerism, and also Reverend Franklin also took them through some incredible ones. So, we are so blessed to have you here. So I'm going to ask Doctor a last question before we go. But before that, you need to grab your copy of the Leaders to Leaders Anthology. I believe strongly that this book is not just a book on leadership. I believe that it is a transformation tool that is going to help you in your next leadership journey. Have you thought about buying this as a gift to somebody? Have you thought about that? Buying this as a gift to somebody? Just in May, we gifted about 30 books away in Ghana, Africa. Yes, we gifted about 30 books away because we're not just looking at the money, we're looking at the transformation of lives that will be transformed by reading this book. So we give books out. They've been books we've given out in Ethiopia. They've been books we've given out in Ghana just to help people to be transformed. To be transformed. There are people on this line that we've given books to them for free. So we just encourage you that grab a copy. You can buy it as a gift to somebody. You can send it as a gift to somebody. Amazon gifts, you can grab it on Amazon. The information is on your screen. The Leaders to Leaders Anthology. You can add my name. You can add Dr. Sharon San's name. All the authors, if you add their name, it just pop up, And then you can grab every version of the copy. If you want a digital copy, reach out to us. We're on Seller as well as Leaders to Leaders on Seller. Leaders to Leaders on Seller. Beloved, I believe strongly that it is a time, of transformative leadership, because we talk leadership, we play leadership, but it's a time that leaders need to stop talking and walk the talk. It's about time that people will see you. They don't need to ask you if you're a leader, but your life needs to lead. Your life needs to show that you're a leader. It's about time that we need to stop wearing a shirt of leadership. We need to stop wearing a hat of leadership. But we need to live as a leader. That is living by example, living by serving, leading and becoming proactive, leading and becoming solution-centered and not problem-oriented, leading to bring a change, leading to bring the difference, and being intentional to live every day like that is your last day on earth. Being intentional to lead. The whole of the Bible is a book on leadership. And we saw a decline because people's relationship with the greatest leader of the whole world, our Lord and Master Jesus Christ, failed. And we saw that it affected their lively leadership. So the whole Bible talks about leadership. It talks about people who walk with a greater leader on earth, our Master and our Lord Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. And it also speaks about how these people were empowered to also lead others to him, and how these people were empowered to live a life of greater transformation. So today, we are so much carried away by impressions. We want to impress people. We are carried away by numbers. We are carried away by titles. And there's so much confusion. Like I was talking to one apostle today, and we were just talking. He said, people call me prophet, but I'm an apostle. And he said, I told somebody, don't call me prophet no more, I'm an apostle. And I asked him, what is your functionality? I asked him, Apostle, what is your functionality? Are you functioning as a prophet? That's why they call you prophet? Or you function as an apostle? There's a lot of confusion. Everybody want a title, and so much at workplaces. Everybody have a title, but it's not much about a title. It is what you are doing. It is the role you are playing. So we need to know that we are leading. Your life is Jesus to somebody. Either you are leading people to God, or you are leading people out of God. Either you are leading people to their destiny, or you are leading them away from their destiny. Either you are shining your light, or you are dimming your light. Everything we do daily is leadership. From the person you talk to in the grocery shop, to your Uber driver, how you treat them, how you talk to them, everything you do is leadership. Everything you do is leadership. So leadership is a lifestyle. That's how I see leadership. Leadership is a lifestyle. It's not just about title and having all the title and all the titles, all the titles, doctor. Even today we have bishop, apostle, bishop, prophet, all the titles. But it's about time that God is calling us to walk in the functionality of all that we are called to do. So, Doctor, I really appreciate you today. We are so blessed by the greater things you've shared from the book. So I'm going to ask you this last question. If you were speaking to a leader who have not yet read the Leaders to Leaders Anthology, why would you recommend this book to them? And if you are not part of the authors, are you really going to read this book? Are you really going to get a book and read, Doctor? Like transparently, if you are not an author of the Leaders to Leaders, are you really going to read this book? And why would you recommend it?
All right. Okay. So once again, thank you, Pastor Eric. And this is a beautiful opportunity to share regarding Leaders to Leaders Anthology. This book is filled with so much rich nuggets, and I was just looking at a few nuggets here recently again with leadership under pressure, conflict in leadership. So, and just in the mediation, it talks about mediation, which is going to be important for you to know. So I would encourage all leaders to get the book. Also, aspiring leaders in the different walks of life, whether it's government, politics, Christian leaders, teachers, anyone that the young, the youth, the college students, anyone that it wants to get information. It's like getting some intel. As a leader, you need intelligence. You need some inside information, right? Because you need to have the tools to be able to be equipped so that you will be able to be effective. And you really can't. So experience is a great teacher, but I know a lot of times we wish someone would have mentored us better in certain areas. We would not have had to learn everything on your feet, just have to learn as you go. But the book is a great way that you can get nuggets because it's written by people who have been either leading or in leadership in some aspects and different aspects of leadership, different backgrounds, different, they're coming together, putting so much rich information in one place. I mean, I would say that, yes, I would want to have found such a book. I know there's a couple other people that make there's a few leadership books, but a lot of times you can't just get one find a book that is a compilation of from different aspects, from different leaders' perspectives, and that's the value I see here. And for $15, I know Pastor Eric, he didn't even mention the price, but if it was $25, and then he said if you didn't buy it for yourself, maybe you want to get it for a family member or your pastor, or have it as a gift for someone in your life that can benefit from it. And yes, I would get a book. I have bought other leadership books in the past. This is second to none. So I would say that, all of the different aspects in the book, as we know, there's different aspects and different I was looking at it just a little bit ago. I don't know if it's going to be. I have the book here with me, so I don't know if it's going to come real easily. But foundations. So we talk about foundations in leadership. Is covered in the book. Styles and approaches to leadership, practical applications, and the case studies are really good. And I was led to include a case study in my chapter because I know Pastor Eric had encouraged certain things that he'd like to see, but then he let us go ahead, the different leaders who contributed, go ahead and let you relay it about the style that you wanted to put it in there. But either way, case studies have been added, and a lot of those are practical for uh, real life situations that may occur that people may have walked through. I know personally that of a couple of churches, for example, that have recently had leadership changes. If we look at church leadership, that they were without a pastor, or they want a pastor search, or they were trying to bring in a new pastor. So that sometimes calls for committees, and people don't always agree on everything. So how do you navigate so now, because one church as I was, kind of connected with as well, I thought about, instead of, like the problem that is occurring in front of you, instead of like just answering naturally, which is just what first thing comes to your mind, I say, what is a practical application based on the leadership principles that can be applied, and then therefore also keep the unity of the faith while you're trying to establish and transition to your leadership, your next transitionary leadership, your next leaders coming in, and how do we bring everybody together? What's your role, even if you're not associate pastor, if you're not on the ministry team, or if you're not a secretary, what is your role in your guideline? So anyhow, yes, yes, and yes. There's a lot of reasons why you should get the book, and I like the title. Says leaders to leaders, like he says, not leaders above leaders, or leaders over leaders, or anything of that nature. But it's like, we want you to hear, or the book wants you to hear something practical that will make you successful. So yes, and thank you once again, Pastor Eric.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shore Sands. We are so blessed to have you on today, and we don't take this opportunity for granted. So, beloved, you are a leader. Even if you think you are not a leader, you are still leading. Everybody's a leader. Either you're a good or bad leader. And if you think you're not a leader, for you to think you're not a leader means you are even leading. So I want to share this real quick. So from now, every Saturday, from now to the third Saturday in August, we're going to be having different authors on this platform. Every Saturday, just come on right here at 12 p.m. Central Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That is going to be 5 p.m. Ghana time. And it's going to be around 10 p.m. Ethiopia time. And if you are in the United Kingdom, that is going to be 6 p.m. British summer time. So don't miss it. We're going to be here every Saturday to the third Saturday in August. And then we're going to have our Ecclesia Arise conference, an incredible conference with Apostle Jonelle, Apostle Stephen Halliburton, and Apostle Abraham Samuel. But every Saturday now to the third Saturday of August, we're going to be having different authors. We are so blessed to have Dr. Who is our first co-author today, and she have really blessed us so much. So what is next? Up next, join us next Saturday with my very own Pastor Esther Nate, my very own beloved wife. She'll be here with us next Saturday to share with us some incredible nuggets of leadership. And I can't wait for next Saturday's topic. Listen, is going to be interesting. It's going to be phenomenal. She's going to share about the leadership qualities. And the amazing thing is that it's rooted in the scripture, it's biblical, and we'll be channeling our question more towards character versus charisma. So I'll see you next Saturday. You can get a copy of the book. And there's a news. If you are in Ghana, any part of Ghana, we are now in partnership with a Challenge Bookshop. It's one of the best bookshop in Ghana, in the city of Accra and across the regions of Ghana. You can get a copy by the end of this month in the Challenge Bookshop. We are now in partners with them. You can get it from the Challenge Bookshop, and very soon the Leaders to Leaders book will be close to you at every Shell location close to you in Ghana. Every Shell gas location close to you in Ghana, we're going to have the book there. And if you're also in the United States or Europe, anywhere you are, you want to partner with us, you want to get a book at your bookshop, please reach out to us. Reach out to us on our website, leaders2leadershub.org, leaders2leadershub.org, and we are going to do business with you to extend this transformative work to others, to be a blessing. So before we go, we're going to take a closing remark from Doctor. Doctor, what is your closing remark, and what last will you say before we get out of here? Thank you.
Well, thank you to your visionary lens that you were able to see the vision for the book, Pastor Eric. I want to just encourage everyone to attend these Saturday Facebook Lives of this, as the book becomes alive and you can begin to glean what your nuggets that you're going to get. We'll continue to pray for leadership. It is biblical to pray for good leadership, governmental leadership, Christian leadership, leadership in the home. I mean, we do have, I believe, a crisis, somewhat crisis in leadership, because we need more strong leaders to come to the forefront. When we say strong, that means, not, muscular strength to knock out, but strength in terms of how to be effective in leadership and how to grow in leadership. So I just want to encourage everyone to, with all you're getting, get understanding. The book is great. It's been such a blessing to others. And get your copy today. He did go over all of the places that you can get that copy. And again, thank you for having me today, Pastor Eric. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So please don't leave. You can follow Dr. Share Sands on Facebook, on Share S. Sands, and you can follow her on Instagram, Share S. Sands. If you want to follow her organization, that's an incredible organization doing greater outreach work, leadership development, kingdom impact, wholeness of spirit, soul, and body. You can follow the Alpha Health Outreach on TikTok. We are on TikTok, Alpha Health Outreach. You can follow the website for upcoming events. If you want to partner, if you want to be part of what God is doing through this amazing health plus kingdom organization, that is alphahealthoutreach.org, alphahealthoutreach.org. And you can also follow Alpha Health Outreach on Facebook as Alpha Health Outreach, Instagram as Alpha Health Outreach, TikTok as Alpha Health Outreach, YouTube as Alpha Health Outreach. Thank you for joining us today. We pray you have a blessed weekend. Goodbye.